Hi, these comments are for KF. I am Michael from OTC, OnlineTOEFLCourse.com, and you're doing some speaking practice. You're taking advantage of my free TOEFL speaking evaluation service. Remember, you can only do one free practice test. It's very expensive for me to do this, but I'm going to do it because you asked. So after I listen to your practice test once, I'll listen to it again. I'll give you some comments and an estimated score, and using the rubrics, I'll try to explain why.
Think that it is imperative to read. To me, I definitely think that it is imperative to read literature first before dealing with the electronic devices because of the following reasons. First of all, it prevents damage. For example, my friend bought a camera and he tried to figure it out how it worked by himself without concerning any literature. However, he ended up breaking up the front lens because of his overconfidence about his knowledge on the electronic devices. Furthermore, it saves time. For example, I bought an iPhone and I tried to download few apps in it, and it took me a whole day to do the entire process. However, when I read the literature, it was just a three simple step to be done, and whole process could have done in less than 3 minutes. And that's how I think reading literature is important.
Now, it's not just reading literature. You didn't put the speaking prompt in there, but I think it is. Some think that it's better to read the instructions manual before operating electronic device. Other people think they should just turn on the device and through trial and error figure out how it works. I think that's sounds like that's what you're doing, right? So it's not just reading literature, but it's reading an instruction booklet to understand more about how something works. My first impression right now is between 2.5 and 3. I'm going to put you at about 20 to 21 points out of 30. That is my first impression. So I'm going to listen to it one more time.
To me, I definitely
Again, to me, I. You don't have to say to me. That's useless. Every word you use needs to count toward advancing the argument. You only have 45 seconds here. Don't use unnecessary words. Use them to help you in the examples that you're providing.
think that it is imperative to read literature first before dealing with the electronic devices because of the following reasons.
It's important to read the instructions first when operating electronic devices for the first time.
First of all, it prevents damage.
Now, if you say first of all, you have to say second of all, right? So if you say it prevents damage, your grammar is very basic. How about this? If you say, well, reading the instructions first can prevent damage to the electronic appliance. You could say something like that. So your vocabulary, your grammar is a little bit basic.
For example, my friend bought a camera and he tried to figure it out how it worked by himself without
How about this? My friend who bought a camera tried to figure out himself without.
concerning any literature. However, he says because of the following reasons. First of all,
I got to check your language use again.
prevents damage. For example, my friend bought a camera and he tried to figure it out how it worked by himself without concerning any literature.
How about this? Without being concerned with any literature or without reading any instructions beforehand, you could probably say.
However, he ended up breaking up the front lens because of his overconfidence about his knowledge on the electronic devices.
So, about his overconfidence, I would say about the electronic device. And that was a good example, by the way, there. That was very effective.
Furthermore, it saves time.
But you said first of all, you have to say second of all, right? Or get rid of first of all and then say furthermore.
For example,
If you say reading instructions, if you say reading the operating manual for an electronic device also saves valuable time.
I bought an iPhone and I tried to of his overconfidence about his knowledge on the electronic devices. Furthermore, it saves time. For example, I bought an iPhone and I tried to download few apps in it.
I bought an iPhone and. So you like that and, you like that compound sentence, but you need to use more than just that. You need to use some more complex sentences, sentences with noun, adjective, and adverb clauses.
And it took me a whole day to do the entire process.
And it took me,
However, when I read the literature, it was just a three simple step to be done, and whole process could have done in less than 3 minutes.
and the whole process could have been done in fewer than 3 minutes. So you are having some problems controlling your language use. That's another problem.
And that's how I think reading literature is important.
And that's
To
why
me, I definitely
and that's why reading the instructions manual is important, right? So I think on this one, I think that my score is pretty accurate. Usually my first impression is my best is the best, most accurate thing. I'm going to say 20 to 21 points out of 30. I think the biggest issue here is language use. You just don't have a high degree of automaticity with good control of basic and complex structures. You don't have that. You got to work more. Automaticity means how natural. Usually we don't say, well, I'm going to read the literature first before operating my device. Nobody's going to say that. They're going to say, I'm going to read the instructions manual or the instructions booklet, or I'm going to read the operating instructions first before turning on my device. So you need to work on that automaticity of language use. That's important. I think with your delivery, the good thing is you're speaking pretty quickly, so you seem to have fairly good pronunciation, although I'd like to see you work on your intonation a little bit more. That's something you can work on. And I think the response is well developed and coherent. Relationships are pretty clear. So I think you did well in that area. So it looks like the language use area is where you need to make the most improvements. All right, so your score here again is around 20 to 21 points out of 30 on this practice test.